Okay, so we're going to talk about this formula. P equals D times the quantity 1 minus 1 plus R over N to the negative N times T all over R over N. Now, this is a formula used basically with mortgages. If you need to find the payment, or you can do a lot of different things manipulating this formula, but the basic idea is P is your mortgage amount, D is your monthly payment. And that monthly piece is going to be important. R is your interest rate, right? And N is the number of times compounding, which we already said monthly, so that kind of gave that away. And then T is your time in years. Okay, so thinking through an example for this. So for an example, let's, for fun, change colors. Let's say that we're going to mortgage $150,000 to buy a house. We're going to do this over a 15-year period at an interest rate of 4%. Not too bad. Again, we make monthly mortgage payments, so N would be 12. Now, having all of this information, we can use this to solve for D, which would be our monthly payment. Okay, so hopefully you have that written down. I'm now going to clear this off so that I can then plug it into the formula. And of course, I did not work this out ahead of time because live is way more fun. So let's clear our drawings. Let's plug in what we know. We know our P value, right? Our mortgage amount is 150,000. So then I have D times quantity, 1 minus 1 plus R 0.04. Don't forget to change your percent to a decimal. Divide that by 12. And then we're taking that to the negative 12 times 15. I almost forgot how many years we were doing. 12 times 15 power all over R over N. Now, at this point, you're thinking, wow, that's very intimidating. What the heck do I do now? And really, when you're thinking about this, we want to kind of work in order of operations pieces. So just breaking that down. And there is a way to put this. I mean, Excel is a big calculator, right? You'd be able to put this all into Excel because I think that was a question. But the thing with Excel, as with any calculator, any calculation device uses the order of operations 100% accurately. That means if you, the inputter, miss one exponent, miss one parenthesis, miss one anything, your whole problem is wrong. So it might be helpful to start by making some small calculations yourself. Now, we don't want to round until the very end. And I say this because if we look at inside the parentheses, 0.04 divided by 12, that gives us a really long decimal answer. And that's kind of a pain. So we're going to kind of just table that for right now. But one thing I can do is negative 12 times 15. So we know that that's negative 180. So I can replace this with negative 180, right? Anything to simplify this. Now, thinking through the order of operations, okay? My goal right now in this problem is to simplify this half. Because what I really want is I want some number times D equaling 150,000. Because if I have that, I can then divide both sides by that number, and that'll give me D. So once I have a numeric valuation for what's on the right-hand side, I can then just take 150,000, divide it by that answer, and I'll have my value of D. So let me go ahead and get rid of this while we talk through the order of operations on the right-hand side. Now, remember, order of operations are PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division left to right, and then adding and subtracting left to right. So here's the big deal. You'll notice in my numerator of this fraction, I have a double set of parentheses and an exponent. So what I need to do, I think I need another thing right here. So my first piece, hold on, I need to double check this formula from where I took it from. Hold up, wait a minute. Okay. I lost my whiteboard on my screen, but I'm going to find it back, you guys. There it is. The second parenthesis goes around the 180. So what that means is that our first step is going to do this 1 plus 0.04 over 12. That's inside parentheses. So thinking about the order of operations, we're going to break this down. We're going to do the inside of the parentheses, 1 plus this to the negative 180. That is kind of our first step. So think about how we should do that. Inside the parentheses, we still follow the order inside the parentheses. So I'm going to take inside the parentheses 0.04 divided by 12. And again, I get that long decimal. Then I'm going to add 1. So I get 1 plus a long decimal. I'm going to raise that. So I'm going to use the caret feature. The caret feature looks like this on my calculator. Some of you will have maybe a y to the x button. It really depends on your calculator of what it is. But I'm going to hit that exponential button, and then I'm going to type in negative 180. And make sure you use the negative and not the minus sign. And I get this number. Okay, really, really, really long. So now I have 150,000 equals D times 1 minus this new number in my calculator all over 0.04 divided by 12. So the next piece is to do inside that parenthesis. So I'm going to keep this in here, and I'm going to type in 1 minus, and you can, I don't know if you can see it, but it has the ANS right over here. I can hit second answer, and it will take my very last answer. So that gives me a 0.45 and a bunch of change. You at least should be in that ballpark. If you don't know how to use stored numbers in your calculator, then use these decimals out to like 8 or 9 places. The more, you're not supposed to round to the very end, but if you can keep them to like 8 or 9 decimal places, you're probably going to be okay. All right, so now I have a new number. So I now have D, where's my eraser? In my calculator, I now have a new number. So I now have D times a number. Oops, I lost my drawing tool. All over this piece. So now you know my next piece. I'm going to take my answer, and I'm going to hit divided by, and in parentheses, I'm going to type in 0.04 divided by 12. And I now have a new number, 135 and change. So I now have new problem, right? Because this is how my paper would look if I was writing the steps down. I now have this with 135.192 and a bunch of numbers times D. Remember from that very first step, we said once we have a number, we can divide both sides by that number. That means, again, I'm going to use my stored answer feature in my calculator, and I'm now going to take 150,000 divided by my last answer, and that's going to give me a D value of $1,109.53. That would be the monthly payment if I borrowed $150,000 for 15 years at 4% interest. So that's just kind of the mindset of step by step of how you would do that kind of a formula using your calculator. I'm very much into the order of operations and doing those step by step. Okay, hope that helps. Let's see if I can stop this.